We are live in a few seconds early.
Yay! Hopefully. Sorry about Wednesday, guys. I had to work on the wife's car. I got it running, but it still needs some TLC, so it will be a friend of hers' husband is a mechanic, and we'll take a better look at it this weekend. I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Astro's trueborn son.
Um, and as usual, every time we do one of these, my count goes up and at 198. I don't know who these people are that have just slowly found this, but thank you, I guess. I'm trying to think of a video that before we started doing book club, I'm trying to think of a video that I did that would have been, oh yeah, I need to get some more of that, and would make them hit the subscribe button. And I can't think of one, to be honest with you. Now, Lady Thistle the other day was watching the episode that I was dressed up as Robert Baratheon and doing the voice, and she said she was laughing her butt off. That was probably my favorite one ever to do. But yeah,
Well, maybe
nothing screams. Please subscribe.
Maybe they're watching old LML
but,
streams. That,
we have a long video to do today.
Yep. Want to get to it?
What's that?
Two more of that.
Yeah, I agree, Lady Thistle. I think we'll do the who's who in character. How's that, Richard?
I don't want that. All right. Let's do it. Storm 19, Tyrion 3. Robb Stark is his father's son. Lord Tywin's chain of hands made a golden glitter against the deep wine velvet of his tunic. The lords Tyrell, Redwine, and Rowan gathered round him as he entered. He greeted each in turn, spoke a quiet word to Varys, kissed the High Stepton's ring and Cersei's cheek, clasped the hand of Grand Maester Pycelle, and seated himself in the king's place at the head of the long table between his daughter and his brother. Tyrion had claimed Pycelle's old place at the foot, propped up by cushions so he could gaze down the length of the table. Dispossessed, Pycelle had moved up next to Cersei, about as far from the dwarf as he could get without claiming the king's seat. The Grand Maester was a shambling skeleton, leaning heavily on a twisted cane and shaking as he walked. A few white hairs sprouting from his long chicken's neck in place of his once luxuriant white beard. Tyrion gazed at him without remorse.
Hey, the cane and all that, I know before it was mentioned that it was more vibrant than usual. Is this still more of an act, or is this legitimate?
I have no idea. What's your thoughts?
I don't trust him, so I put it down to act.
Still an act. Yeah, he may be trying to get sympathy for. Yeah, I thought that makes sense.
All the terrible things that Tyrion did to him.
Yep. The others had to scramble for seats. Lord Mace Tyrell, a heavy, robust man with curling brown hair and a spade-shaped beard, well salted with white. Paxter Redwine of the Arbor, stoop-shouldered and thin, his bald head fringed by tufts of orange hair. Mathis Rowan, Lord of Golden Grove, clean-shaven, stout, and sweating. The High Septon, a frail man with wispy white chin hair. Too many strange faces, Tyrion thought. Too many new players. The game changed while I lay rotting in my bed, and no one will tell me the rules. Oh, the lords had been courteous enough, though he could tell how uncomfortable it made them to look at him. That chain of yours, that was cunning, Mace Tyrell had said in a jolly tone. And Lord Redwine nodded and said, quite so. My Lord of Highgarden speaks for all of us, and very cheerfully, too. Tells the people of this city, Tyrion thought bitterly. Tells the bloody singers with their songs of Renly's ghost. His uncle Kevin had been the warmest, going so far as to kiss his cheek and say, Lancel has told me how brave you were, Tyrion. He speaks very highly of you. He'd better. I'll have a few things to say of him. He made himself smile and say, my good cousin is too kind. His wound is healing, I trust? Sir Kevin frowned. One day he seems stronger, the next it is worrisome. Your sister often visits his sickbed to lift his spirits and pray for him.
And poison him.
But does she pray that he lives or dies? Cersei had made shameless use of their cousin, both in and out of bed. A little secret she no doubt hoped Lancel would carry to his grave now that father was here. She no longer had need of him. Man, that makes it sound like she's sleeping with her father, doesn't it? Would she go so far as to murder him, though? To look at her today, you would never suspect Cersei was capable of such ruthlessness. She was all charm, flirting with Lord Tyrell as they spoke of Joffrey's wedding feast, complimenting Lord Redwine on the valor of his twins, softening gruff Lord Rowan with jests and smiles, making pious noises at the High Septon. "Shall we begin with the wedding arrangements?" she asked, as Lord Tywin took his seat. "No," their father said, "with the war. Varys?" The eunuch smiled a silken smile. "I have such delicious tidings for you all, my lords. Yesterday at dawn, our brave Lord Randall caught Robert Glover outside Duskendale and trapped him against the sea. Losses were heavy on both sides, but in the end our loyal men prevailed. Sir Helmund Talhart is reported dead, with 1,000 others. Robert Glover leads the survivors back toward Harrenhal in bloody disarray, little dreaming he will find valiant Sir Gregor and his stalwarts athwart his path." "Gods be praised," said Paxter Redwine. "A great victory for King Joffrey." "What did Joffrey have to do with it?" thought Tyrion. "And a terrible defeat for the North, certainly," observed Littlefinger, "yet one in which Robb Stark played no part. The young wolf remains unbeaten in the field." "What do we know of Stark's plans and movements?" asked Mathis Rowan, ever blunt and to the point. "He has run back to Riverrun with his plunder, abandoning the castles he took in the west," announced Lord Tywin. "Our cousin, Sir Davin, is reforming the remnants of his late father's army at Lannisport. When they are ready, he shall join Sir Forley Prester at the Golden Tooth. As soon as the Stark boy starts north, Sir Forley and Sir Davin will descend on Riverrun." "You are certain Lord Stark means to go north?" Lord Rowan asked. "Even with the Iron Men at Moat Cailin?" Mace Tyrell spoke up. "Is there anything as pointless as a king without a kingdom? No, it's plain. The boy must abandon the Riverlands, join his forces to Roose Bolton's once more, and throw all his strength against Moat Cailin. That is what I would do." Tyrion had to bite his tongue at that. Robb Stark had won more battles in a year than the Lord of Highgarden had in 20. Tyrell's reputation rested on one indecisive victory over Robert Baratheon at Ashford, and a battle largely won by Lord Tarley's band before the main host had even arrived. The siege of Storm's End, where Mace Tyrell actually did hold the command, had dragged on a year to no result, and after the Trident was fought, the Lord of Highgarden had merely dipped his banners to Eddard Stark. "I ought to write Robb Stark a stern letter," Littlefinger was saying. "I understand his man Bolton is stabling goats in my high hall. It's really quite unconscionable." Sir Kevin Lannister cleared his throat. "As regards the Starks, Balon Greyjoy, who now styles himself King of the Isles in the North, has written to us offering terms of alliance." "He ought to be offering fealty," snapped Cersei. "By what right does he call himself king?" "By right of conquest," Lord Tywin said. "King Balon has Strangler's fingers round the neck. Robb Stark's heirs are dead, Winterfell has fallen, and the Iron Men hold Moat Cailin, Deepwood Motte, and most of the Stony Shore. King Balon's longships command the Sunset Sea and are well placed to menace Lannisport, Fair Isle, and even Highgarden should we provoke him." "And if we accept this alliance," inquired Lord Mathis Rowan, "what terms does he propose?" "That we recognize his kingship and grant him everything north of the neck." Lord Redwine laughed. "What is there north of the neck that any sane man would want? If Greyjoy will trade swords and sails for stone and snow, I say do it and count ourselves lucky." "Truly," agreed Mace Tyrell, "that's what I would do. Let King Balon finish the Northmen, whilst we finish Stannis." Lord Tywin's face gave no hint as to his feelings. "There is Lysa Arryn to deal with as well. John Arryn's widow, Hoster Tully's daughter, Catelyn Stark's sister, whose husband was conspiring with Stannis Baratheon at the time of his death." "Oh," said Mace Tyrell cheerfully, "women have no stomach for war. Let her be. I say she's not like to trouble us." "I agree," said Redwine. "The Lady Lysa took no part in the fighting, nor has she committed any overt acts of treason." Tyrion stirred. "She did throw me in a cell and put me on trial for my life," he pointed out, with a certain amount of rancor. "Nor has she returned to King's Landing to swear fealty to Joff as she was commanded. My lords, grant me the men and I will sort out Lysa Arryn." He could think of nothing he would enjoy more, except perhaps strangling Cersei. Sometimes he still dreamed of the eerie sky cells and woke drenched in cold sweat. So we have pointed these out, and this is more of Tyrion as the Valonqar.
Yeah.
And one of the most obvious ones is that he gives us something that really shows us how Jaime could be the Valonqar, and that he will go on to hang Shay when he finds her in Tywin's bed, right? By
Yeah.
wrapping, by taking the chain and of hands and using a single hand to twist it to cut off her hair, right?
Right.
So if Jaime accepted what the girls on Canada call the hand job, and then Somehow it wound up, maybe Cersei declares herself hand and takes it back from him or something, and then he could. I mean, you could see it happen, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
could happen to the point where it would be considered wrapping his hands around her neck, right? Now we don't actually. That's not our first preferred interpretation. We believe that Loras is actually the Valonqar, but
Well, I mean,
see
when it comes to
Triple Threat
George,
episode 6.
I should have waited. We see George repeatedly mentioning something like,
Hey, Charles.
"Hey, Charles, like Tyrion strangling Cersei." Then chances are that that's the farthest thing from the truth is what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, that's what she's supposed to be thinking, right? So, anyway. Mace Tyrell's smile was jovial, but behind it Tyrion sensed contempt. "Perhaps you'd best leave the fighting to fighters," said the Lord of Highgarden. "Better men than you have lost great armies in the Mountains of the Moon, or shattered them against the Bloody Gate. We know your worth, my lord. No need to tempt fate." Tyrion pushed off his cushions, bristling, but his father spoke before he could flash back. "I have other tasks in mind for Tyrion. I believe Lord Peter may hold the key to the Eyrie." "Oh, I do," said Littlefinger. "I have it here between my legs." There was mischief in his gray-green eyes. "My lords, with your leave, I propose to travel to the Vale and there woo and win Lady Lysa Arryn. Once I am her consort, I shall deliver you the Vale of Arryn without a drop of blood being spilled." Lord Rowan looked doubtful. "Would Lady Lysa have you?" "She's had me a few times before, Lord Mathis, and voiced no complaints." "Betting," said Cersei, "is not wedding. Even a cow like Lysa Arryn might be able to grasp the difference."
Hey, you notice that? She's had me a few times before.
It's not just that once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does imply that it's been a continuous thing. Yeah, that he's continued to sleep with her after she married Jon Arryn.
Yeah.
"To be sure, it would not have been fitting for a daughter of Riverrun to marry one so far below her." Littlefinger spread his hands. "Now, though, a match between the Lady of the Eyrie and the Lord of Harrenhal is not so unthinkable, is it?" Tyrion noted the look that passed between Paxter Redwine and Mace Tyrell. "It might serve," Lord Rowan said, "if you're certain that you can keep the woman loyal to the King's grace." Littlefinger is a fucking liar, though. Well, there is that.
Yeah, this is true.
"My lords," pronounced the High Septon, "autumn is upon us, and all men of good heart are weary of war. If Lord Baelish can bring the Vale back into the King's peace without more shedding of blood, the gods will surely bless him." "But can he?" asked Lord Redwine. "Jon Arryn's son is Lord of the Eyrie now, the Lord Robert." "Only a boy," said Littlefinger. "I will see that he grows to be Joffrey's most loyal subject and a fast friend to us all." Tyrion studied the slender man with the pointed beard and irreverent gray-green eyes. "Lord of Harrenhal and empty honor? Bugger that, father. Even if he never sets foot in the castle, the title makes this match possible, as he's known all along." "We have no lack of foes," said Sir Kevin Lannister. "If the Eyrie can be kept out of the war, all to the good. I'm of mind to see what Lord Peter can accomplish." Sir Kevin was his brother's vanguard in council, Tyrion knew from long experience. He never had a thought that Lord Tywin had not had first. "It has all been settled beforehand," he concluded, "and this discussion's no more than show." I don't really believe that Kevin never has a thought but I do believe that they've already gotten on the same page. So whenever Tyrion sees him in discussions with Tywin, I actually think Kevin, I think Tywin, the whole point of Tywin talking about listening to people, the only one he actually respects is Kevin. So
Right.
I think we see it when Kevin takes over, that Kevin actually is a pretty
That's what I was
smart
getting
guy.
ready to say.
And that
Kevin
Tywin knows that, and the two of them work together, get on the same page, and then present a united front. Right. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
The sheep were bleating their agreement, unaware of how neatly they'd been shorn, so it fell to Tyrion to object. "How will the crown pay its debts without Lord Peter? He's our wizard of coin, and we have no one to replace him." Littlefinger smiled. "My little friend is too kind. All I do is count coppers, as King Robert used to say. Any clever tradesman could do as well. And a Lannister, blessed with the golden touch of Castle Rock, will no doubt far surpass me." A Lannister. Tyrion had a bad feeling about this. Tywin's gold-flecked eyes met his son's mismatched ones. Hopefully, I did that in my Han Solo voice. not that I have a Han Solo voice. "You are admirably suited to the task, I believe." "Indeed," Sir Kevin said heartily. "I've no doubt you make a splendid master of coin, Tyrion." But Tywin turned back to Littlefinger. If Lysa Arryn will take you for a husband and return to the king's peace, we shall restore the Lord Robert to the honor of Warden of the East. How soon might you leave? On the morrow, if the winds permit. There's a Braavosi galley standing out past the chain, taking on cargo by boat. The Merling King. I'll see your captain about a berth.
Hey, should we trust Braavosi ships at this point in time?
Well, I mean,
Or is that more of a
he's
hint?
specifically lying here. Right? It's probably his ship because he literally stays there on the ship until Sansa gets on the ship because it is the Merling King, right? It's going to Braavos, and it's still there for the actual wedding.
Is it being a Braavosi galley a hint at how far Littlefinger's fingers spread across the? Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean he definitely completely controls the ship, right? And
well, I'm talking about his ties to Braavos.
Right. Yeah. So am I. I mean, I think it really is a Braavosi galley, and he clearly has complete control of it.
Okay.
You'll miss the king's wedding, said Mace Tyrell. Peter Baelish gave a shrug. Tides and brides wait on no man, my lord. Once the autumn storms begin, the voyage would be much more hazardous. Drowning would definitely diminish my charms as bridegroom. Lord Tyrell chuckled. True. Best you do not linger. May the gods speed you on your way, the High Septon said. All King's Landing shall pray for your success. Lord Redwyne pinched his nose. May we return to the matter of the Greyjoy alliance? In my view, there's much to be said for it. Greyjoy's longships will augment my own fleet and give us sufficient strength at sea to assault Dragonstone and end Stannis Baratheon's pretensions. King Balon's longships are occupied for the nonce, Lord Tywin said politely, as are we. Greyjoy demands half the kingdom as the price of alliance. But what will he do to earn it? Fight the Starks? He's doing that already. Why should we pay for what he's given us for free? The best thing to do about our Lord of Pike is nothing, in my view. Granted enough time, a better option may well present itself. One that does not require the king to give up half his kingdom. Tyrion watched his father closely. There's something he's not saying. He remembered those important letters Lord Tywin had been writing the night Tyrion had demanded Casterly Rock. What was it he said? Some battles are won with swords and spears, others with quills and ravens. He wondered who the better option was and what sort of price he was demanding. Perhaps we ought move on to the wedding, Sir Kevin said. The High Septon spoke of the preparations being made at the Great Sept of Baelor, and Cersei detailed the plans she had been making for the feast. Your Grace, said Grand Maester Pycelle, in regard to the number of guests, we've had a raven from Sunspear. 300 Dornishmen are riding toward King's Landing as we speak, and hope to arrive before the wedding. How do they come? Asked Mace Tyrell gruffly. They've not asked leave to cross my lands. His thick neck had turned a dark red, Tyrion noted. Dornishmen and Highgardeners had never had great love for one another over the centuries. They had fought border wars beyond count and raided back and forth across mountains and marches even when at peace. The enmity had waned a bit after Dorne had become part of the Seven Kingdoms, until the Dornish prince they called the Red Viper had crippled the young heir of Highgarden, an attorney. This could be ticklish, Sidorf thought, waiting to see how his father would handle it. Prince Doran comes at my son's invitation, Lord Tywin said calmly, not only to join in our celebration, but to claim his seat on this council, and the justice Robert denied him for the murder of his sister, Elia, and her children. My son's invitation? That's interesting. My son's invitation, Lord Tywin said calmly. Should that be grandson's invitation?
No, didn't
Tyrion already sent it when he was hand. Okay.
Yeah.
As part of yeah, he did. That's true. Okay. So he really is calling Tyrion my son there. Okay. Tyrion watched the faces of the Lords Tyrell, Redwyne, and Rowan, wondering if any of the three would be bold enough to say, but Lord Tywin, wasn't it you who presented the bodies to Robert, all wrapped up in Lannister clothes? None of them did, but it was there on their faces all the same. Redwyne does not give a fig, he thought, but Rowan looks fit to gag. When the king is wed to your Marjorie and Myrcella to Prince Trystane, we shall all be one great house, Sir Kevin reminded Mace Tyrell. The enmities of the past should remain there. Would you not agree, my lord? Hello, Mother Rowan, and I need to yell at my dogs for a bit.
You go ahead. Hello, Mother Rowan. Sorry about Wednesday. The wife's car was a pain in the butt.
All right, I'll just hold on to Sammy, and maybe they'll be a little quieter with only two of them.
You
Although
hope.
to be honest, he's probably the most quiet of the three when they're wrestling. He's just the one that I was easily able to grab.
Ah. Jeffrey says, I hear dire wolves.
Exactly, the three heads of the direwolf. This is my daughter's wedding, and my grandson, said Lord Tywin firmly. No place for old quarrels, surely.
Oh,
I have no.
I just had a thought. Well, actually, I had the thought last night. And before I forget, I have not done any research on it and I have not checked it. But when you said three heads of the dire wolf, I was thinking about the three heads of the dragon
Of
and the
course.
prophecies. Um, the daughter of fire or whatever,
Uh,
it's like one for what if each is for a different child of the three heads of the dragon?
ooh, that's interesting. We'll have to go back. We'll have to go back and look at those some more.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
an
yeah,
interesting thought. That's an
yeah.
interesting thought, though.
Okay, sorry.
I hope you vanquish the car troubles, says Lady Thistle.
No problem.
I have no quarrel with Doran Martell, insisted Lord Tyrell, though his tone was more than a little grudging. If he wishes to cross the Reach in peace, he need only ask my leave. Small chance of that, thought Tyrion. He'll climb the Boneway, turn east near Summerhall, and come up the King's Road. 300 Dornishmen need not trouble our plans, said Cersei. We can feed the men at arms in the yard, squeeze some extra benches into the throne room for the lordlings and highborn knights, and find Prince Doran a place of honor on the dais. Not by me, was the message Tyrion saw in Mace Tyrell's eyes, but the Lord of Highgarden made no reply but a curt nod. Perhaps we can move to a more pleasant task, said Lord Tywin. The fruits of victory await the vision. What could be sweeter, said Littlefinger, who had already swallowed his own fruit, Harrenhal. Each lord had his own demands. This castle and that village, tracts of lands, a small river, a forest, the wardship of certain miners left fatherless by the battle. Fortunately, these fruits were plentiful, and there were orphans and castles for all. Varys had lists. 47 lesser lordlings and 619 knights had lost their lives beneath the fiery heart of Stannis and his Lord of Light, along with several thousand common men at arms. Traitors all, their heirs were disinherited, their lands and castles granted to those who had proved more loyal. Highgarden reaped the richest harvest. Tyrion eyed Mace Tyrell's broad belly and thought, he has a prodigious appetite, this one. Tyrell demanded the lands and castles of Lord Alistair Florent, his own bannerman, who had this singular ill judgment to back first Renly and then Stannis. Lord Tywin was pleased to oblige. Brightwater Keep and all its lands and incomes were granted to Lord Tyrell's second son, Sir Garland, transforming him into a great lord in the blink of an eye. His older brother, of course, stood to inherit Highgarden itself. Lesser tracts were granted to Lord Rowan and set aside for Lord Tarley, Lady Oakhart, Lord Hightower, and other worthies not present. Lord Redwine asked only for 30 years' remission of the taxes that Littlefinger and his wine factors had levied on certain of the arbor's finest vintages. When that was granted, he pronounced himself well satisfied and suggested that he send for a cask of arbor gold to toast good King Joffrey and his wise and benevolent hand. At that, Cersei lost patience. It's swords Joff needs, not toasts, she snapped. His realm is still plagued with would-be usurpers and self-styled kings. So as Preston has discussed, with twins, Redwine should be pursuing lands unless he has his sights set higher.
Right.
Other ones says, old new dude is handling things better than I did. I'm on chemotherapy and basically was in denial until they threatened that taking bone marrow. I'm a medical scofflaw. Well, man, chemo's rough. Or at least not that I've had any experience. Not having experience other than witnessing family members.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Redwine twins, he should be just as Tyrell looked for his second son to give him a great keep and make him a lord. Redwine ought to be doing something, right? He's got these two heirs that argue over which one of them was born first and which one of them is the heir, and he's specifically not interested in any of the land. It's really bizarre, and that's why the theory is that maybe he's actually double dealing here and in league with the Aegon or the Golden Company, and has his eyes set higher.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I was getting ready when he got done talking. I'm getting ready to say the same thing, Lady Thistle. Sending you all our love, bear mother or no.
Oh, absolutely. But not for long, I think, said Varys unctuously. His leg being plagued with would-be usurpers, Hillside Kings. A few more items remain, my lords. Sir Kevin consulted his papers. Sir Adam has found some crystals from the High Septon's crown. It appears certain now that the thieves broke up the crystals and melted down the gold. Our Father above knows their guilt and will sit in judgment on them all, the High Septon said piously. No doubt he will, said Lord Tywin. All the same, you must be crowned at the king's wedding. Cersei, summon your goldsmiths. We must see to a replacement. He did not wait for a reply, but turned at once to Varys. You have reports? Eunuch drew a parchment from his sleeve. A kraken has been seen off the fingers, he giggled. Not a Greyjoy, mind you, a true kraken. Detect an Ibnese whaler and pulled it under. There's fighting on the stepstones.
That is really, really odd that it was off the fingers that the kraken was seen.
Okay. Why is that? I mean, why is that location specifically weird?
Well, I mean, that's where Littlefinger's from.
Yeah.
Out of all the places George could pick for there to be a kraken to be seen,
and if it kind of symbolizes you've argued that Littlefinger is under the influence of the Great Other, and this could symbolically kind of point to that, right?
Right.
There's fighting on the stepstones, and a new war between Tyrosh and Lys seems likely. Both hope to win Mir as ally. Sailors back from the Jade Sea report that a three-headed dragon has hatched in Karth and is the wonder of that city. Dragons and krakens do not interest me, regardless of the number of their heads, said Lord Tywin. Have your whispers perchance found some trace of my brother's son?
Hey, the three-headed dragon that hatched in Karth is Dany.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the rumors are coming back that there's three dragons in Karth, and
right. But when he said that it was a three-headed dragon, we're thinking that they mistaken three small dragons.
Sigil. You're thinking it's just the sigil of the three-headed dragon that they're seeing,
right?
Oh, okay. Rather than the way rumors work, you're saying no, they actually saw the sigil, and Dany's got the sigil, and it's the rebirth of the Targaryens. Yeah, I like that.
Something like that. I mean, yeah.
There's a rum named the Kraken. Don't ask how I know this. Alas, our beloved Tyrick has quite vanished, the poor brave lad. First sounded close to tears. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, the Dragon Demands video on what happened to Tyrick Lannister is just amazing. But anyway, he sells you so many reasons to believe that it's actually Littlefinger. It's a great catch, dude. Yeah, it is a great catch. I always thought it was just them botching it, but your argument makes Dany has rebirthed the Targaryens and the sigil of the Targaryens. I like that. Anyway, I really do like his Tyreek video. It's excellent. Tywin, Sir Kevin said before Lord Tywin could vent his obvious displeasure. Some of the gold cloaks who deserted during the battle have drifted back to barracks, thinking to take up duty once again. Sir Adam wishes to know what to do with them. They might have endangered Joff with their cowardice, Cersei said at once. I want them put to death. Varys sighed. They have surely earned death, your grace. None can deny it. And yet, perhaps we might be wiser to send them to the Night's Watch. We've had disturbing messages from the wall of late of wildlings astir. Wildlings, krakens, and dragons, Mace Tyrell chuckled. Why is there anyone not stirring? Lord Tywin ignored that. Of course, we know the others are stirring as well. The deserters serve us best as a lesson. Break their knees with hammers. They will not run again, nor will any man who sees them begging in the streets. He glanced down the table to see if any of the other lords disagreed. Tyrion remembered his own visit to the wall and the crabs he'd shared with old Lord Mormont and his officers. He remembered the old bear's fears as well. Perhaps we might break the knees of a few to make our point. Those who killed Sir Jocelyn, say. The rest we can send to Marsh. The watch is grievously under strength. If the wall should fall, the wildlings will flood the north, his father finished, and the Starks and Greyjoys will have another enemy to contend with. They no longer wish to be subject to the Iron Throne, it would seem. So by what right do they look to the Iron Throne for aid? King Robb and King Balon both claim the north. Let them defend it if they can. And if not, this Mance Raider might even prove a useful ally. Lord Tywin looked to his brother. Is there more? Well, one thing this points out is that it kind of lays the groundwork for Stannis' thoughts that if you wish to claim it, you have to defend it, right?
Right.
He's making that argument, and yet he's trying to claim it and isn't defending it. But if Sansa is Tyrion's key to the North, this seems pretty counterproductive.
Yeah, it's true.
Sir Kevin shook his head. We are done, my lords. His Grace King Joffrey would no doubt wish to thank you all for your wisdom and good counsel. I should like private words with my children, said Lord Tywin as the others rose to leave. You as well, Kevin. Obediently, the other counselors made their farewells, Varys the first to depart, and Tyrell and Redwine the last. When the chamber was empty, but for the four Lannisters, Sir Kevin closed the door. Master of coins, said Tyrion in a thin, strained voice. Whose notion was that, pray? Lord Peter's, his father said, but it serves us well to have the treasury in the hands of a Lannister. You've asked for important work. Do you fear you might be incapable of the task? I would. It's an impossible task. But anyway, no, said Tyrion. I fear a trap. Littlefinger is subtle and ambitious. I do not trust him, nor should you. He won Highgarden to our side, Cersei began, and sold you Ned Stark, I know. He will sell us just as quick. A coin is as dangerous as a sword in the wrong hands. His uncle Kevin looked at him oddly. Not to us, surely. The gold of Castle Rock is dug from the ground. Littlefinger's gold is made from thin air with a snap of his fingers. A more useful skill than any of yours, sweet brother, purred Cersei in a voice sweet with malice. Littlefinger's a liar. And black as well, said the Raven of the Crow. Lord Tywin slammed his hand down on the table. Enough! I will have no more of this unseemly squabbling. You're both Lannisters and will comport yourselves as such. Sir Kevin cleared his throat. I would sooner have Peter Baelish ruling the Eyrie than any of Lady Lysa's other suitors. Jon Royce, Lynn Corbray, Horton Redfort. These are dangerous men, each in his own way, and proud. Littlefinger may be clever, but he's neither high birth nor skill at arms. The Lords of the Vale will never accept such as their liege. He looked to his brother. When Lord Tywin nodded, he continued. And there is this. Lord Peter continues to demonstrate his loyalty. Only yesterday he brought us word of a Tyrell plot to spirit Sansa Stark off to Highgarden for a visit, and there marry her to Lord Mace. Except that apparently he goes like this because there's like quotes within quotes there. And there marry her to Lord Mace's eldest son Willis. Oh well, I love her. Littlefinger brought you word? Tyrion leaned against the table. Not our master of whispers? How interesting. Cersei looked at their uncle in disbelief. Sansa's my hostage. She goes nowhere without my leave. Leave you must perforce grant, should Lord Tyrell ask, their father pointed out. To refuse him would be tantamount to declaring that we did not trust him. He would take offense. Let him. What do we care? Bloody fool, thought Tyrion. Sweet sister, he explained patiently. Offend Tyrell and you fed Redwine, Tarly, Rowan, and Hightower as well. Perhaps start them wondering whether Robb Stark might not be more accommodating to their desires. I will not have the Rose and the Dire Wolf in bed together, declared Lord Tywin. We must forestall him. How? Asked Cersei. By marriage. Yours, to begin with. Came so suddenly that Cersei could only stare for a moment. Then her cheeks reddened as if she'd been slapped. No, not again. I will not. Your Grace, said Sir Kevin courteously, you are a young woman, still fair and fertile. Surely you cannot wish to spend the rest of your days alone. And a new marriage would put to rest this talk of incest for good and all. To misquote Jack Sparrow, where did all the gold go? We are here, we are there, we are fucking everywhere. Tyrell!
I wonder who Charles's favorite house is. Remind me again.
Mystery. It's a real mystery. So long as you remain unwed, you allow Stannis to spread his disgusting slander, Lord Tywin told his daughter. You must have a new husband in your bed to father children on you. 3 children is quite sufficient. I'm Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, not a broodmare. The Queen Regent. You're my daughter, and will do as I command. She stood. I will not sit here and listen to this. You will if you wish to have any voice in the choice of your next husband, Lord Tywin said calmly. She hesitated, then sat. Tyrion knew she was lost, despite her loud declaration of, I will not marry again. You will marry and you will breed. Every child you birth makes Stannis more a liar. Her father's eyes seemed to pin her to her chair. Mace Tyrell, Paxter Redwine, and Doran Martell are wed to younger women, likely to outlive them. Baelon Greyjoy's wife is elderly and failing, but such a match would commit us to an alliance with the Iron Islands, and I'm still uncertain whether that would be our wisest course. No, Cersei said between wet lips. No. Tyrion could not quite suppress the grin that came to his lips at the thought of packing his sister off the pike. Just when I was about to give up praying, some sweet god gives me this. Lord Tywin went on. Oberyn Martell might suit, but the Tyrells would take that very ill, so we must look to the sons. I assume you not to object to wedding a man younger than yourself. I object to wedding any. I've considered the Redwine twins. Theon Greyjoy, Quentin Martell, and a number of others. But our alliance with Highgarden was the sword that broke Stannis. It should be tempered and made stronger. Dolores has taken the White, and Sir Garland is wed to one of the Fossaways. But there remains the eldest son, the boy they schemed to wed to Sansa Stark. Willis Tyrell. Tyrion was taking a wicked pleasure in Cersei's helpless fury. That would be the cripple, he said. Their father chilled him with a look. Willis is heir to Highgarden, and by all reports, a mild and courtly young man, fond of reading books and looking at the stars. He has a passion for breeding animals as well, and owns the finest hounds, hawks, and horses in the Seven Kingdoms. A perfect match, mused Tyrion. Cersei also has a passion for breeding. He pitied poor Willis Tyrell. And did not know whether he wanted to laugh at his sister or weep for her. The Tyrell heir would be my choice. Congratulations, Charles. Lord Tywin concluded. But if you would prefer another, I will hear your reasons. That is so very kind of you, father, Cersei said with icy courtesy. It is such a difficult choice you give me. Who would I sooner take to bed, the old squid or the crippled dog boy? I shall need a few days to consider. Do I have your leave to go? A crippled dog boy sounds a bit like a crippled wolf boy to me.
Yep.
And of course, we've commented on that before. The parallels are intentional there. You are the queen, Tyrion wanted to tell her. He ought to be begging leave of you. Go, their father said. We shall talk again after you've composed yourself. Remember your duty. Cersei swept stiffly from the room, her rage plain to see. Yet in the end, she will do as father bid. She proved that with Robert. Though there is Jaime to consider. Their brother had been much younger when Cersei wed the first time, but not acquiesced to a second marriage quite so easily. The unfortunate Willis Tyrell was like to contract a sudden fatal case of sword-through battles, which could rather sour the alliance between Highgarden and Castle Rock. I should say something, but what? Pardon me, father, but it's our brother she wants to marry? Tyrion, he gave a resigned smile. Do I hear the herald summoning me to the lists? Your whoring is a weakness in you, Lord Tywin said without preamble. But perhaps some share of the blame is mine. Since you stand no taller than a boy, I found it easy to forget that you are in truth a man grown, with all of a man's baser needs. It's past time you were wed. I was wed, or have you forgotten? Tyrion's mouth twisted and the noise emerged that was half laugh and half snarl. Does the prospect of a marriage amuse you? Only imagine what a bugger-all handsome bridegroom I'll make. Wife might be the very thing he needed. If she brought him lands and a keep, it would give him a place in the world apart from Joffrey's court and away from Cersei and their father. On the other hand, there was Shay. She will not like this, for all she swears that she's content to be my whore. That was scarcely a point to sway his father, however, so Tyrion squirmed higher in his seat and said, You mean to wed me to Sansa Stark? But won't the Tyrells take the match as an affront? They have designs on the girl? Lord Tyrell will not broach the matter of the Stark girl until after Joffrey's wedding. If Sansa's wed before that, how can he take offense when he gave us no hint of his intentions? Quite so, said Sir Kevin, and any lingering resentments should be soothed by the offer of Cersei for Rose Willis. Tyrion rubbed at the raw stub of his nose. The scar tissue itched abominably sometimes. His Grace, the royal pustule, I looked that up, but then I forgot, has made Sansa's life a misery since the day her father died, and now that she is finally rid of Joffrey, you propose to marry her to me. This seems singularly cruel, even for you, father. Why? Do you plan to mistreat her? His father sounded more curious than concerned. The girl's happiness is not my purpose, nor should it be yours. Our alliances in the south may be as solid as Castle Rock, but there remains the north to win, and the key to the north is Sansa Stark. She's no more than a child. Your sister swears she's flowered. If so, she's a woman fit to be wed. You must needs take her maidenhead, so no man can say the marriage was not consummated. After that, if you prefer to wait a year or two before bedding her again, you'd be within your rights as her husband. Shay is all the woman I need just now, he thought, and Sansa's a girl, no matter what you say. If your purpose here is to keep her from the Tyrells, why not return her to her mother? Perhaps that would convince Robb Stark to bend the knee. The Tywin's look was scornful. Senator Riverrun and her mother will match her with the Blackwood or Mallister to shore up her son's alliances along the Trident. Send her north and she'll be wed to some Manderley or Umber before the moon turns. Yet she is no less dangerous here at court, as this business with the Tyrells should prove. She must marry a Lannister, and soon. The man who weds Sansa Stark can claim Winterfell in her name, as Uncle Kevin put in. Had it not occurred to you? If you will not have the girl, we shall give her to one of your cousins, said his father. Kevin, is Lancel strong enough to wed, do you think? Sir Kevin hesitated. If we bring the girl to his bedside, he could the words, but to consummate, no. I would suggest one of the twins, but the Starks hold them both at Riverrun. They have Jenna's boy, Tian, as well, else he might serve. Tyrion let them have their byplay. It was all for his benefit, he knew. Sansa Stark, he mused. Soft-spoken, sweet-smelling Sansa. Loved silks, songs, chivalry, tall, gallant knights with handsome faces. He felt as though he was back on the bridge of boats, the deck shifting beneath his feet. You asked me to reward you for your efforts in the battle, Lord Tywin reminded him forcefully. This is a chance for you, Tyrion. The best you're ever likely to have. He drummed his fingers impatiently on the table. I once hoped to marry your brother to Lysa Tully, but Eris named Jaime to his Kingsguard before the arrangements were complete. When I suggested to Lord Hoster that Lysa might be wed to you instead, he replied that he wanted a whole man for his daughter. So he wedded Jon Arryn, who was old enough to be her grandfather. Tyrion is more inclined to be thankful than angry, considering what Lysa Arryn had become. When I offered you to Dorne, I was told that the suggestion was an insult, Lord Tywin continued. Now, we actually hear about this from Oberyn, and he introduces the concept as being insulting based upon ages. He's like, yeah, we were a little apart in age, but not too much. And then he talks about Tyrion, and he says that would be an insult, right? And so the implication is that he's trying to tell Tyrion that the insult is that he was too young at the time. That's what he's trying to tell Tyrion, and Tyrion doesn't get this because he thinks that they're just prejudiced against him for being a dwarf, right?
Right. Well, at that time, Oberon says that, you were a baby that just had a slightly larger head.
Yeah, you just look normal to us. That's not why they're offended. They're offended because the age difference was too great. But anyway,
right.
Which of course is why he's offended by this marriage. Anyway. In later years, I had similar answers from Jon Royce and Leighton Hightower. I finally stooped so low as to suggest you might take the Florent girl, Robert deflowered in his brother's wedding bed, but her father preferred to give her to one of his own household knights. If you will not have the Stark girl, I shall find you another wife. Somewhere in the realm there is doubtless some little lordling who'd gladly part with a daughter to win the friendship of Castle Rock. Lady Tanda has offered Lawless. Tyrion gave a shudder of dismay. I'd sooner cut it off and feed it to the goats. Then open your eyes. The Stark girl is young, nubile, tractable, of the highest birth, and still a maid. She's not uncomely. Why would you hesitate? Why, indeed. A quirk of mine. Strange to say, I would prefer a wife who wants me in her bed. If you think your whores want you in their bed, you're an even greater fool than I suspected, said Lord Tywin. You disappoint me, Tyrion. I'd hoped this match would please you. Yes, we all know how important my pleasure is to you, father. But there's more to this. The key to the North, you say? The Greyjoys hold the North now, and King Balon has a daughter. Why Sansa Stark and not her? Looked in his father's cool green eyes with their bright flecks of gold. Lord Tywin steepled his fingers beneath his chin. Balon Greyjoy thinks in terms of plunder, not rule. Let him enjoy an autumn crown and suffer a northern winter. He will give his subjects no cause to love him. Come spring, the Northmen will have a bellyful of krakens. When you bring Eddard Stark's grandson home to claim his birthright, lords and little folk alike will rise as one to place him on the high seat of his ancestors. You are capable of getting a woman with child, I hope. I believe I am, he said, bristling. I confess I cannot prove it, though no one can say I have not tried. Why, I plant my little seeds just as often as I can. In the gutters and the ditches, finished Lord Tywin, and in common ground where only bastard weeds take root. It is past time you kept your own garden. He rose to his feet. You shall never have Castle Rock, I promise you, but wed Sansa Stark, and it's just possible that you might win Winterfell. Tyrion Lannister, Lord Protector of Winterfell. Prospect gave him a queer chill. Very good, father, he said slowly, but there's a big ugly roach in your rushes. Robb Stark is as capable as I am, presumably, sworn to marry one of those fertile Freys. And once the young wolf sires a litter, any pups that Sansa births are heirs to nothing. Lord Tywin was unconcerned. Robb Stark will father no children on his fertile Frey, you have my word. There's a bit of news I have not yet seen fit to share with the council, though no doubt the good lords will hear it soon enough. The young wolf has taken Gawain Westerling's eldest daughter to wife. For a moment, Tyrion could not believe he'd heard his father right. He broke his sworn word, he said, incredulous. He threw away the phrase, for words failed him. A maid of 16 years named Jane, said Sir Kevin. Lord Gawain once suggested her to me for Willem or Martin, but I had to refuse him. Gawain is a good man, but his wife is Sybil Spicer. He should never have wed her. Westlings always did have more honor than sense. Lady Sybil's grandfather is a traitor in saffron and pepper, almost as lowborn as that smuggler Stannis keeps. And the grandmother was some woman he brought back from the east. A frightened old crone, supposed to be a priestess. Magi, they called her. No one could pronounce her real name. Half of Lannisport used to go to her for cures and love potions and the like. He shrugged. She's long dead, to be sure, and Jane seemed a sweet child, I'll grant you, though I only saw her once. With such doubtful blood. Is she long dead, though?
Exactly.
Having once married a whore, Tyrion could not entirely share his uncle's horror at the thought of wedding a girl whose great-grandfather sold cloves. Even so, a sweet child, Sir Kevin had said, but many a poison was sweet as well. The Westlings were old blood, but they had more pride than power. It would not surprise him to learn that Lady Sybil had brought more wealth to the marriage than her high-born husband. The Westling mines had failed years ago. Their best lands had been sold off or lost, and the crag was more ruin than stronghold. A romantic ruin, though, jutting up so brave above the sea. I am surprised, Tyrion had to confess. I thought Robb Stark had better sense. Oh, to be sure, Lady Thistle says, yes. He is a boy of 16, said Lord Tywin. At that age, sense weighs for little against lust and love and honor. He forswore himself, shamed an ally, betrayed a solemn promise. Where's the honor in that? Sir Kevin answered, he chose the girl's honor over his own. Once he deflowered her, he had no other course. It would have been kinder to leave her with a bastard in her belly, said Tyrion bluntly. The Westlings stood to lose everything here, their lands, their castle, their very lives. Lannister always pays his debts. Jane Westling is her mother's daughter, said Lord Tywin, and Robb Stark is his father's son. See, Triplet Targaryens episodes 1 and 2. This Westling betrayal did not seem
quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if we've touched on this before. Robb is his father's. Okay, there you are. Robb is his father's son.
Yeah, it works both ways, right? It actually works both ways because it's sort of this what's the word I'm looking for here? This. It's sort of this impulsive. That's I guess probably what I'm trying to think. Right? Well, sort of this impulsive move that would fit with Brandon, right?
Yeah.
In addition to being exactly what Ned did, right?
Well, if you stop and look at it, Ned needed a lot of pushing for him to. What am I trying to say?
Yeah, I think it's the app that says that there was like intense negotiations for the marriage,
right?
And it's like, why were there intense negotiations for the marriage, considering it's exactly what they would have wanted. Like,
it would have been an outside hand that forced the marriage. So in Robb's case, it would have been an outside hand that forced the marriage, meaning Jane's mother. The potential for the love potion.
Well, no, I think it's the other way around. So I think that, of course, the parallel is they both receive word of the death of the person immediately adjacent to them in the line of succession, in front of Ned and behind Robb was Bran, right? And then second in line after that, which is Rickard versus Rickon, right? And they're named after them and so forth, right? And then so they receive word, they're with a woman that they like, right? Like Ned is probably traveling with a Sharadane to the marriage, potentially seeking his blessing and given that he's a second son and free to pursue his heart, right?
Yeah.
And so that marriage is this, right? It's for honor, despite needing the potential need for a marriage alliance with a powerful Riverlands lord to stop the Mad King and the Iron Throne.
Right, but I'm not comparing it to Shar. I'm comparing it to Cat.
I know. Okay. I know. But yeah. But Cat is supposed to be the Frey in this situation.
Well, I mean, okay.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's I might be overthinking it.
Frey, and so the problem is that well, and the interesting thing is that Hoster is every bit as ruthless as Tywin or as Walder, right?
Right.
He, as we learn when Arya is traveling the Riverlands, he commits massive war crimes. He goes after the small folk and House Goodbrook. He like kills villages of people. He's not a good guy.
No.
Which is why he may be with a person that Ned is thinking of when he says he'd had to deal with people he despised before. Make common cause, I think it's the word he uses, right? But he also could be referring to Varys, because we know how much he hates, or Dorcas as we like to call him, because we know how much he hates Dorcas, right? He specifically tells us that he hates Dorcas, and why does he have this hatred? It could just be because he views Master Whisperers as a dishonorable profession, but it sure seems like he's had dealings with him.
Yeah.
This Westerling betrayal did not seem to have enraged his father as much as Tyrion would have expected. Lord Tywin did not suffer disloyalty in his vassals. He'd extinguished the proud reigns of Castamere and the ancient Tarbecks of Tarbeck Hall root and branch when he was still half a boy. The singers even made a rather gloomy song of it. Some years later, when Lord Farman of Faircastle grew truculent, Lord Tywin sent an envoy bearing a lute instead of a letter. But once he'd heard the reigns of Castamere echoing through his hall, Lord Farman gave no further trouble. If the song were not enough, the shattered castles of the Rains and Tarbeck still stood as mute testimony to the fate that awaited those who chose to scorn the power of Castle Rock. The crag is not so far from Tarbeck Hall and Castamere, Tyrion pointed out. You'd think the Westlands might have ridden past and seen the lesson there. One thing about that song that I think is worth noting is that it's supposed to be showing us the erasure of females from history.
Mm-hmm.
And right, just as the erasure of Asher as the Dione and the Sea Triple Tuckers episode 1, right? The whole the proud Lord said no. The proud Lord didn't say, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the proud lady that said that. That's deliberate. It's a deliberate. I think it's George deliberately playing with the idea of history being rewritten to remove females with power. Mayhaps they have, Lord Tywin said. They are well aware of Castamere, I promise you. Could the Westlings and Spices be such great fools to believe the wolf can defeat the lion? Every once in a very long while, Lord Tywin Lannister would actually threaten to smile. He never did, but the threat alone was terrible to behold. The greatest fools are oftentimes more clever than the men who laugh at them, he said. And then, you will marry Sansa Stark, Tyrion, and soon. Up next, Storm 20, Catelyn 3. He dies at my word. He must die by my hand.
He's right. That was a pretty long chapter.
Yep. I didn't try to pick anything out. I read through it once thinking, okay, let's look for things that we can throw out. And then I was like, it's mostly dialogue. There's not much to throw out. So we just read it.
You get those chapters that there's that occasional filler, which George is not big on filler very often, but there are those that you can kind of, we skip this paragraph, we can skip that, but it's not all the time. It's very rare that you are able to actually cull out quite a bit of a chapter and still get the main bulk of the meaning of the chapter, everything that you needed to know from beginning to end.
Sometimes I'll go through and just throw out a few sentences here and there, but I didn't do it this time.
Yeah.
There'll be some chapters where we're going to have no choice but to highlight things and shorten and so forth, because it would be like 3 emails for some of these if I were to... Right.
Well, getting back to Robb, I'm saying that Robb saying that he would marry a Frey is the same as Ned marrying a Shy. That was their word. That was their honor. That was everything to them. And both of them went against that. Robb married Jane, and then Ned married Catelyn. So Ned married Catelyn because of, they went against what their honor dictate that they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that this idea that he would have to marry Catelyn in his
brother's stead.
It's kind of iffy anyway, right? Does he really have to do that? He's now Lord of Winterfell. Why he can do whatever the heck he wants. And so your argument is that no, it's not quite the same. The marriage alliance really doesn't happen until after he's married instead of before, because he's not really committed to that. And that's reasonable to say that the timing is such that it's arguably backwards. Okay,
right. And I'm saying that with that comparison, the breaking of their word, their bond, their honor was because of outside forces. I
like it. Okay,
with Ned, it was Falster, and with Robb, it was Jane's mother.
Yeah, you're saying he's not really obligated to marry Catelyn. The real obligation where he's made a vow is to Ashara, and he breaks it. Just as the real obligation for Robb is that he's made a vow to the phrase. So it's kind of backwards. I'll buy that.
Okay.
Yep.
It took me a minute to.
Jane, it rhymes with Dane. Yeah, well, and that is the real first wife of people who yeah, the real wife. So yeah, that's a good point. Jane rhymes with Dane. I like it.
You hush, Thistle.
I like it. I like it.
Only because
I
it
think
goes with what you say.
no, because I think you're right. It kind of goes both directions here. It's like
Yeah.
they're both oath breakers, but in a different way. One breaks the betrothal that they made a vow for, and the other one breaks an actual wedding
Well, I
vow.
mean, basically,
Yeah.
both of them had no choice in it, really. If they wanted the men, if they wanted to win Robert's Rebellion, Ned had to do that. He had no choice in it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Rob had no choice in it because of the potion,
Potentially.
potentially.
I
I
don't
say
know.
there was one, though.
I don't know
I
that there
think
was.
we
I don't
will
know if there
hear
was.
about the potion. I think we will get a
It could be.
confession
It
from
could be.
mother to daughter,
I'm open
possibly
to it.
in
I'm
the
open to it.
weeds of winter. And I
All
saw
right,
the
fair
other
enough.
day that George is like, "Don't pester me." Oh my!
Yeah, and somebody found up another interview from earlier where the interview was actually in October. It was in like Portuguese or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. It's some other language, but somebody found one. They didn't find the YouTube video until it was posted November 5th, but the actual interview was for like a month earlier. But
Mm-hmm.
he said he'd written 1,100 pages, and the thing is, last year he'd said he'd written 1,100 to 1,200 pages.
Yeah.
So as of October 7th or something like that, he was saying he had 1,100 pages. The implication is that in the last 10 months, he's done basically no
Nothing.
progress. Yep.
He's erased pages.
Yeah, he's lost 100 up to 100 pages.
Damn rewrites. Look, I mean, if he can't finish it, if he can't undo that knot, give it to somebody else. Give us wins the winner, regardless of how whether you're happy with it or not. I mean,
Yeah,
because that will get you
I
another 10,
wish.
15 years before we expect spring to be written. I mean,
Yeah, he's probably not gonna live that long. So
well, I mean, I fear that okay, I'm done. He's never going to write it. I'm done with this series. I don't want that to sink in
right,
and to my core and be okay. Never
right.
mind.
Absolutely, I'd love the energy we'd get from another book. Absolutely, even if it was
Oh
just
yeah,
partial.
even a half a book. I don't care.
Says the guy who hasn't even read the sample
Well, it'll be
chapters.
all right. I mean, it's
You need to
okay.
read the
But a
Forsaken at
half a
least.
book.
You need to read the Forsaken.
Yeah, okay, I will. I'll do that this weekend. It could just be that he doesn't want to keep track like that,
Yeah.
and
He could have
he's
forgotten.
estimating.
He could have forgotten exactly, and
Yeah.
just be. Hey, now the thing is, if somebody tells you that they're going to give you something, they kind of do owe you. That's kind of how owing works. So I don't like this. He doesn't owe us anything attitude. Like if I like somebody was like, well, if I cook you a nice dinner, I don't have to make you another dinner. I'm like, but if you tell me I'm going to cook you two dinners, and here's the first one, and then you keep reminding me that you're making plans for the second one, and then you tell me if I don't give you the second dinner and you don't have it in hand by this date, you can kidnap me. And then every time you appear, you say I'm still working on planning your dinner. Then you kind of owe me a dinner because you keep telling me you're going to give me it and not giving me it. And that's what it is to owe somebody, is to say you're going to do something by a certain thing, and then you know that thing comes, and I won't work on this until I've done, and then you start working on that. I I will have it to you in hand by this date, and you don't do that. That is the definition of owing somebody, isn't it? Is to say you're
Yeah.
going to give them something and then not give it to them. Isn't that the definition?
You
I
get
feel
him.
like it is. Like people, I feel like they're gaslighting us when they say that you don't owe us anything. I'm like, if you say I'm going to give, you don't have to. You don't have to come forward and say there's going to be another book. So you could come out and say, I'm sorry, I can't do it, right? But if you say I'm going to do it, I'm still working on it. I'm going to have it by this date. I'm going to have it before I work on this. Then, but I don't want. I'm not. Yeah, I get that. No, and that's part of why he says. That's what part of why old dude is saying just like to get half a book or something, right?
Yeah.
He's not. We definitely agree that he if he can't do it, he can't do it. And I do get that he honestly is he's trying to give us his own honest assessment, and then he's unable to because he's not happy with it. I get that's what's really going on here, but when people say he doesn't owe us, it kind of annoys me, because if you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it, that's kind of how you owe somebody something. So anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely see that aspect of it too, Lady Thistle.
Without a doubt. Oh, wow, we hit our hour.
Yeah, let's go and wrap up.
Okay. Well, thank you for everybody. Mother, we will keep you in our thoughts and prayers.
Oh, absolutely.
And Monday is Cat 3. Every Friday, I always say, have a fun, safe weekend. We care about all of y'all and want to see you here Monday for sure. You coming to book club? Yeah, it's a Jamie night. I have to. If I don't show up, I have to give back my Jamie card. But yes, definitely be there, Lady Fizzle. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, have a safe weekend. Want to see you here Monday. We thank you. To the 198 subscriber, if you're watching this, thank you. Tell a friend. We want to have a party when we hit 200.
It's a unilateral promise. Jamie Stan's status revoked.
No. I'll be holding my action figure while we do book club. But all right, y'all be good. Take care. Have a good, safe weekend. We will see y'all Monday. Be good. Bye, Richard.
Bye.